Hello, everyone, and welcome to this meeting. It's a pleasure to have you here today for this discussion. We are going to discuss one of the most important shifts happening in mobile growth right now. So today's challenge is no longer access to data, it's how quickly teams can turn data into decisions that actually improve performance. As competition increases and user behavior becomes more complex, manual analyses are simply too slow. And AI is now becoming part of daily growth operations. It includes creative testing, predictive modeling, fraud detection, automated bidding, traffic quality assessment, retention forecasting, and performance optimization at scale. What makes this especially important is that AI is not replacing strategy, it is amplifying the ability of growth teams to act faster and more precisely. So I'm here today on behalf of Atstera. We work with advertisers and app marketers globally. We help them scale through performance-driven traffic. So if you're looking for quality traffic for your apps, new growth opportunities, or simply want to exchange ideas after the session, feel free to reach out. We also prepared a special promo code for the participants of today's meetings. And let me now introduce our speakers who each bring a different perspective on the topic. First, I'd like to welcome Kate Palanchukova. She's Senior Sales Manager at Appia, AI native company redefining marketing through agentic AI. We also have today Stephanie Pilon, CMO at Singular, one of the leading voices in attribution analytics and growth measurement. Joining us as well is Chaitai Gakur, Key Account Manager at Social Peta, where creative intelligence and competitive ad analysis play a central role in helping marketers scale. And finally, we welcome Piyush Mishra, Group Director of User Acquisition at Nazara Technologies, bringing direct hands-on experience from one of the most performance-sensitive sectors, gaming. To begin, I'd like to start with a broad question for everyone. So AI is everywhere in mobile growth today, but adoption level varies a lot. From your perspective, what is one area where AI is already delivering real measurable impact and one area where it's still more hype than reality? Kate, how would you answer this question?
Yep. First of all, hey everyone, and a really nice question to open up. So I would say, in my opinion, the biggest measurable impact is the shift from task-driven AI copilot towards the autonomous AI agent. So in the past, the AI would act as the singular repetitive task solver, and it's switching and changing towards the AI to act autonomously, basically going towards the business goals from end to end. And in Appia, we had an interesting case with the Laneige. This is one of the biggest brands in beauty, over 30 markets. And the main challenge of Laneige was not the lack of data, but the speed from the insight to the execution. So basically, if the marketer would decide that, okay, I want to know which of the churn users going to buy this moisturizer, for example, then it would take around 3 days to understand the audience segmentation, to get this insight and then execute them. And with the AI agent, it actually shifted to only 1 hour. So basically, it was 25 times faster decisions and 3.3 higher ROI. And in terms of the ROI, AI agent also helps a lot with the insights, so more deep insights in terms of, you don't have to target all of the churn users. You need to target the users that are having the high LTV potential or high growth revenue potential. And in this case, it's also reflecting a lot in the ROI. And in terms of the biggest hype, I would say that plug and play is the biggest one, in my opinion, because the idea of just combining a lot of tools that are going to be solving one single task is creating more complexity rather than make your life easier. So the more touch points, the more insight, the more platforms and channels you're going to have, it's going to create more work in terms of how to manage it all rather than make it simple. So what actually would make a difference is to have a unified data and on top of that a centralized intelligence system that gonna help to connect all the data, guide the decisions, and then execute them. So yeah, I think that would be mine.
Thank you, Kate, for sharing your experience. Now I give word to Stephanie.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Steph. I know we didn't say where we're dialing in from. I don't know if there's lots of people on this call, but I'm dialing in from Berlin, and it is not a nice day. So I'm happy to be here and answer some of these questions on AI. So I really like this question because I think it's quite two-sided, right? We're talking about like where do we see real impact today, but also where is there hype? And I'm sure some of us might disagree on this call, but where I'm seeing real impact, where I'm sitting within Singular, is this idea of being able to connect creative performance signals. So things like hooks, formats, messaging, and angles right back down to the downstream funnel metrics. And this is really transforming how teams are able to iterate and iterate really quickly. So it used to take weeks to maybe create all the dozens of creatives that you need to do, or it would take huge teams. I was hosting a webinar 2 weeks ago, and one of the gentlemen, John, he's the CEO of Turborillo, was telling me that he used to have a team of 80 creative people just making creative. So now with AI, this iteration is a lot faster. And the more that we can understand how creatives are working or why they're working or what elements of a creative is working, the faster we're able to actually iterate on that and see real ROAS. So at Singular, we see this directly. We see that marketers are actually closing the loop between this creative data and attribution data, and they're making faster, better decisions. And they really do see that in their downstream metrics like ROAS. So it's not just about, oh, did I get loads of impressions and should I scale this? But it's really actually understanding which creative is driving the events and the activities that I want to happen in my app. So really attracting the right users. Now, we built a tool called Creative IQ that does exactly this, and it sort of connects the creative performance right down to the attribution data, and it's going to surface the hooks and formats and things that are working. And this is really one of the most clearest examples I've seen of AI being able to deliver ROI that you can actually put a number on. Now, what is still overhyped? And I might get killed for this one, but I think AI-driven budget allocation and bidding is still overhyped. So it's a very compelling pitch, right? Let the algorithm optimize spend across channels and campaigns in real time. That sounds great. But there's a hidden assumption that your measurement layer is clean and trustworthy. And if the data feeding AI is fragmented, delayed, or it's been misattributed, or has fraud, you're not actually going to be making smarter decisions. You're just going to be automating the wrong ones faster. So AI is only as good as the signal it's trained on. I think we've been saying this forever now. I feel like for the last several years, we've been saying this thing called garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you have the wrong data going in, you're not going to get the outcome that you expect on the other side. And most teams might not be there yet with data quality. So I think we need to be careful with how much emphasis we put on AI to make these decisions. So I really strongly believe we still need humans in the loop as much as possible.
Thanks a lot for these valuable points. Now I would like to ask Cha Tai to answer this question.
Thank you very much. And I totally agree with Stephanie on this question because my answer is very similar. Starting point as a starting point for the AI gap is between hype like and reality is where the AI is delivering the real measurable effect is from a performance standpoint. AI has already fundamentally transformed the creative production and testing velocity. We are seeing AI-generated content significantly reduce the production cost, which allows brands to test much higher volume of formats simultaneously. We can see that on our dashboard and from our reports as well. More importantly, AI is now the primary engine for predictive modeling and intent-based targeting in a post-privacy world. Leading teams are using supervised AI to turn early behavior signals like meaningful engagement or organic return behavior into directional LTV guidance. For instance, we've been specialized AI models in the health and finance sectors, integrate wearable or account data to provide proactive, personalized alerts that drive habitual usage and long-term retention. Where AI is still more hype than reality, on the flip side, the area that remains more hype than reality is like the plug and play enterprise AI. There's a misconception that AI can be out of the box solution for end-to-end growth without a human context. So at the practical way and level, many teams are still wary of AI tools because they have been burned by the early players who overpromised and under-delivered on performance. So we are still see a structural mismatch where AI can predict late realized value, but the acquisition decisions still require human judgment to avoid false precision in noisy, privacy-constrained data environments. In short, AI is exceptional at accelerating creative throughput and signal processing, but it isn't yet a magic button that replaces the need of a unified growth strategy or human-led operational discipline.
That's right. AI won't take our jobs in the future, I hope so. Piyush, do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, on that optimistic note. No, I mean, so I'm first of all, I'll start with an introduction. So I'm Piyush. I'm group director of Nazara. It's an Indian gaming conglomerate. I'm based out of London, Stephanie, so it's sunny for a change, which is good to see. Going back to the question, guys. So what I feel of it, obviously, so one area of hype and one area of where actually it has contributed. There's no question that the area that it has contributed is the creative part, right? So creative iteration, creative production, creative testing, creative analytics. I think all four of them, you can just say that, okay, it has sort of leveled up, especially on the analytics side, post the acceptance of probabilistic modeling and stuff like that. Like it has obviously sort of grown and, creative production has been revolutionized. There's no question about it. It's the same thing that I had. I had a team of like, uh, 12 creative artists working and sort of handling creatives for us. But now I'm actually getting the same work done by two or three. And that's just the brutal reality of the situation. Not that I'm happy about it, but that's just the brutal reality of the situation. And the way things are sort of shaping up is that every single ad network are getting in a space that they're going to take away even the creative sort of layer that we create. I'm sure you guys would have heard about the Apple announcement that happened on the e-com side last week, and they're going to get into the gaming space as well. So if you look at the trajectory, networks have been taking away one sort of every single optimization level one by one. So, at one point there used to be, just setting up the budget, give the context, do contextual targeting and stuff like that to a world like UAC and, others where just put in the bid, I'll take care of you. To the world where, even creators would not be a choice. I mean, it will be a choice for human intervention for sure, but I just strongly feel that there are a lot of creators that will be created automatically because they'll have that data to sort of create. So that's where I feel the world is heading. Not very happy about it, but I think that's where it's heading. That's on the good side. I think the hype is purely around automation, in my opinion, because I don't think we have seen a huge amount of automation being done from a UA perspective. What I mean by automation is, we've been sold this idea for the last 10 years that, okay, you click at one place, you go to one dashboard, it will connect to all the other dashboards that are out there, and you can just make all the campaign optimization and the changes on bids and budgets and stuff like that we have been sold. I think a lot of companies that sort of came in, tried, didn't work, and built purely on the back of fragmentation of data, and big players actually not providing access to their data in there. So yeah, in short, good area, creative, hype, automation on the US side.
Thanks, Piyush. Let's continue with audience targeting because this is one of the areas where AI is already deeply embedded in daily marketing decisions. So, Kate, Appia has been deeply involved in AI-driven optimization and predictive modeling. So, from your perspective, how are you seeing AI reshape audience targeting today, especially in a privacy-first environment where signal loss is increasing?
Yeah, thanks for this question. I think maybe before jumping to it, I wanted to quickly also address what other panelists mentioned, because it's quite an interesting topic. And I think here we're a bit of disagreeing with each other in terms of the direction of AI taking the jobs or not taking the jobs and taking all of the manage all of this stuff fully autonomously rather than just solving one task. So the idea that we see in Appier is that the AI is not taking your job, but actually you're switching from managing the tool towards just managing the outcomes and working with the goals and strategy. So basically, the AI is a combination of work of human and a combination of work of the agent. That is why it's agent AI, because it's working more like an agency. So, and in terms of the creative topic, and in Appier, we do see that it's very important that the AI can also play here autonomously, because it gives the additional value and incrementality towards the creatives optimization. Why? Because the creatives are not optimized and work separately. So basically, you can just say, okay, I want to create converting creatives, and then you can just produce more and more creatives. But if you don't have the connection with the targeting, with the performance, then it's just not incremental. It's not converting towards what you, so you have to do a lot of A/B testing, and you're again with that loop of producing more, and then it's not converting, so you produce more. So yeah, the idea is to have the centralized intelligence system that gonna make the decision, that gonna execute it, and also analyze the insights. And back to the question that you asked, and thank you for this, because I think it's a bit of a pain point for the past few years, is that the signal loss is real. And I do believe that many teams suffered a bit of a difficulties when it happened. And especially because the main idea is that in the past, a lot of the brands, they were relying on the borrowed data. And with the new Apple privacy rules, then it's a bit cracked. And but I do believe that it was supposed to happen and needed to happen. Why? Let me explain. Is the idea is a lot of the brands were sitting on a gold mine of significant first-party data. And the only thing is that the data was there, so there is no challenge of the lack of data. The only thing is that data wasn't properly activated. And the idea is that there is also the autonomy gap between the insight and the speed of execution. So basically, there is a data, the data is not a challenge, but then there is a gap between how fast the insights are turning into actions. And here's where the AI agent is helping, because the AI agent is creating the loop where it's the precision, decision, and execution. So basically, it's solving what I said before in terms of the creatives. The AI connects the data towards the creatives production and performance, and then it's decide what would be the best in terms of the optimization, and then execute it in real time. So this is solving the issue with an autonomy gap. And in terms of the targeting, what I see because of this shift from the AI copilot towards the autonomous AI agent, what happened is that the targeting before in the past, it was more about who the user is. And now the targeting is switching towards the predictive modeling, towards the who user will become. Because the AI is acting more as the evaluation of high LTV potential or high growth potential. And in this case, the AI is switching and the approach is switching from reactive towards proactive. And I believe that the winning teams are the one that not found the workaround, the single loss, but the winning teams are the one who invest and who are interested into owning the data and activating this data.
Thank you, Kate. Dear speakers, do you have anything to add to this? Then let's speak a bit of targeting from another perspective. So if targeting becomes more predictive, then measurement becomes even more critical because marketers need confidence that optimization decisions are based on reliable signals. So Stephanie, from your perspective, how should marketers rethink measurement and attribution today, especially as AI increasingly influences campaign optimization and automated decision making?
Thanks for that question, Anna. So this is quite a doozy. So I'm going to be unpacking this in a few different parts. So bear with me, everybody. Come along for the ride. Okay, first of all, there's been a core shift in measurement. And what I mean by that is that measurement is now existential, which kind of sounds weird, but hear me out. So measurement has always been important, but AI is making it existential. So when humans were making campaign decisions, a bad attribution signal could lead to a bad call, and someone would eventually notice and you'd have to course correct. Now, when AI is making or informing those decisions, a bad signal gets amplified and automated. So you stop noticing because the machine looks confident. Now, there are three things that we need to rethink here. The first one is this concept of having one source of truth. So not one source of truth per channel, not a patchwork of platform reported numbers, one place where you can actually trust what you're looking at. What we do at Singular is bring together paid, organic, owned data into a unified layer so that when AI is querying your performance data, it's working from one coherent picture. It's not looking at 5 conflicting ones. The direction we're heading with MCP integration is exactly this, making that measurement layer natively queryable by AI agents, not just readable by humans in a dashboard. The second thing is to measure the right thing, not just the easy thing. So there's a tendency right now to optimize for what's easy to measure. This is things like in-app events or early engagement signals, rather than what's actually predicting your business outcome. AI will optimize relentlessly toward whatever metric you give it. So if that metric isn't the right one, you'll be very efficiently going in the wrong direction. And this can happen faster than you think. The third thing is to not outsource your judgment to the model. I think we have a tendency today to outsource a lot of our judgment to these models. And AI-driven attribution is going to be getting better at probabilistic modeling, which is genuinely very powerful. But it doesn't remove that need for us to understand the logic behind the model. So marketers who outsource their complete judgment to a black box will eventually be surprised. And that will usually happen at the worst possible time. So it could happen during a budget review or a board meeting. You do not want to be caught short. So it's really, really important that you are not outsourcing your complete judgment. So you should own whatever that North Star is and be constantly looking back at it and making sure that you understand the data that's leading you to that North Star.
That's right, because AI is still a tool rather than the optimal solution for everything we have in our companies. And one area where many teams still struggle despite better targeting and measurement is creative performance. Chatai, based on what social PETA sees across market data, how can AI help teams systematically generate, test, and improve creatives?
Yeah, thank you very much for this complex question. So based on our data and industry trends, AI help teams to systematically combat the creative fatigue by shifting focus from manual production to creative-driven performance infrastructure. So AI enables teams to supercharge rather than replace creatives, allowing them to produce content at a scale previously impossible. For example, AI-generated content significantly reduced the creative production cost up to 85-95%, enabling teams to test a broader range of formats at scale. Teams can generate dozens of variations, such as like 50 headlines in time it to use, take a right one, to satisfy continuous demand for unique content. So by 2026, app marketing is moving towards the adaptive video-first system that responds to user intent in real time, bypassing the bottleneck of filming everything manually. So AI-powered ad intelligence tools like us connect specific creative elements to actual user acquisition rather than just raw clicks. AI automatically identifies and tags elements like hook, dialogues, characters, colors, and audio across the cross-network data. So this core KPI measures how quickly and cost-effectively each creative generates results, allowing teams to identify winners early. Instead of waiting for spend to accumulate, AI estimate how content will perform pre-flight based on historical patterns, finding the sweet spot for the text, font, and the tone before a single dollar is spent. So the third thing is I would like to mention about like the CTR can be dropped at approximately 45% after only for exposure without a refresh and proactive iteration is essential for the performance stability. So AI tools monitor continuous decline in span share and performance metric to flag fatigue before it impact the campaign results. So AI-driven tagging also turns existing assets into a researchable library, allowing teams to repurpose and refresh proven assets instead of starting from scratch every time. So this year, real competition is going to shift from the simple traffic acquisition to capability building teams that outperform are not necessarily spending more, but learning faster, but by treating creative as a systematic data responsive infrastructure rather than the one of tactical assets. So we also try to help teams to provide the insights and information with our dashboard to AI generated content on the creative level as well with social data. So that's all on my end. And if you have any additional questions on the trends on the marketing side, I will be happy to provide answers.
Well, basically, I have a brief question about the usage of AI in creatives. If advertisers use AI that much in creatives to generate the creatives, where is creativity in that?
If you can look this like the creative should not be like 100% AI generated. It can be AI assisted as well. So AI is not only the producing the creatives; it's optimizing the what you need from a creative as a user or as an advertiser. So also, if you want creativity, in marketing, you can put your own inputs into the AI. But it's a tool. It's not a decision maker or the artist. So people needs are complex. At the same time, it's complex and it's simple. So AI helps creative teams to balance these things into the performance.
I agree with you. If I could interject there, I like the thought that we've really got to ground ourselves in the idea that AI is a tool, right? It's not replacing people. Of course, it's making us faster and stronger. I kind of have a problem right now where I see so many people being like, I replaced my whole team with AI. And it's like, no, we still need to have people behind the wheel of AI. And I think the amazing thing with AI is how fast we can do things. But I think all of us have been frustrated with AI as well. I think all of us could raise our hand and be like, oh, it did not do what I wanted it to do, whether that's like data analysis that takes, I don't know, it's taken me 20 hours sometimes with AI and I could have done it faster myself. Or it is creating creatives indeed, where you have to iterate over and over and over again to get that result. Now, it is how you build the system as well, behind the wheel. So I know quite a few creative directors at different big brands or actually apps themselves, and they're doing so much more with AI than they ever could do. You might be producing like 200 videos a week now with AI, but you still need to have the smart input to make it what it is. So you couldn't just like pull someone off the street and have them start making 200 videos. So we still need intelligence behind the AI is what I'm getting at. And I do agree that the more data we have, to understand what makes a fatigue as well. So like what makes it creative fatigue? What makes it creative good? What makes it creative good on a specific channel at a specific time in a specific region? Because I think there's so many nuances and so many different ways that we can put creatives out there that the more information we have, the better it's going to be. But I really think it's important to remember that it is just a tool at the end of the day, and that we're the ones driving the car, and we aren't the car itself. So just to have that clear distinction, I think, is really important.
I slightly disagree there. Just coming off from a different perspective. Again, I think I'm the one advertising here. So like, yeah, I'm controlling the budget. I'm talking to the creative team. I'm trying to figure out how exactly you're able to allocate the budget. But the fact remains, and Stephanie, nobody's saying that people are gonna go from 25 team to a team of 5, and it's gonna be great. You do need human intelligence. There's no question about it. You do need certain angle of human intelligence to sort of say, okay, what exactly, because you have to break the clutter as well at the same time. You cannot just keep on sort of coming back to the same sort of creative and competitive creative and whatever things are available in the market. But I do believe, look, at the end of the day, it's a combination of three things: audience, targeting, and creative, right? I mean, so audience, creative, and landing page, essentially. Audience is being automated by default by the networks. They know what kind of audience we want to reach out to. Now, you need to literally have the right communication at the right moment, right? The right communication is something that has been debated over the years. We've had setups where we're only allowed 10 creators. Now, 10 creators for a population of 300 million in US is not engaging enough, right? That is starting to open up nowadays. Now you're allowed to upload 30 creators. Why? Because creative production have become easier, right? So in certain way that has happened, and I see a world where it will actually get fragmented even a lot more, because networks would have the understanding to be able to understand what kind of user we need to build with what kind of communication, and the communication needs to be sort of changed across the board. That's the first thing from a network perspective. Second thing, from a user perspective, and I'm debating it myself right now in my head, to be honest, is the attention span is going down quite a lot. Now, you would want obviously creators that can break the clutter, but that comes once in a while. Most of the creators are standard for most of the games or most of the e-coms or whatever the situation is, right? So I'm not really sure how exactly would be the value of spending huge amount of time to get a creative that can break the clutter as compared to just having a standard creative that could actually get you some sort of users, because the user attention is sort of going away. I don't think they will be, and I'm talking about 3-4 years down the line, not right now. Obviously, right now we need it, but like 3-4 years down the line, do we even need a layer of human intelligence to be added to just a small studio that is sort of starting up in the gaming space and trying to spend money? Because obviously those things add cost, right? So we're thinking from a big studio lens, makes sense, but from a small studio perspective, I think it's sort of a game changer for them.
Definitely, all of this connects to one practical business question: where should the budget go, right? And which users are truly valuable? So Piyush, heading back to you, from your perspective, how is AI helping you make faster and more accurate decision on budget allocation?
So AI is helping. I mean, look, the thing is, what we were sort of getting from data analytics team, essentially, is what we're now getting directly from AI. Like that's been the shift, right? So now we're able to sort of ask those questions that used to take like 3 to 4 days from an analytics perspective. An analytics team would go there, get the data from data science, put it everywhere, and then do the analysis and present. That has gone away more or less. Now I can just type it in a Slack or somewhere. Okay, this is what I need, and a lot of integrations have been done where you can just get the answer to that question. Okay, why has the CPI gone down? Why is the retention going down? Blah blah. So a lot of those monitoring techniques have been deployed now with the UM managers. So that has really helped to sort of figure out where exactly the budget allocation has gone. I was I was doing a conference on Wednesday at Reddit office and Sensata, and Sensata presented some data points. And the interesting data point that they said, going back to your question, Anna, is that actually the number of players in the market have been decreasing over the last 5 years, number of networks, which means your budget allocation wise, you're actually spending a lot more with the existing players than you've been spending before. So the fact is, on an average, an advertiser spending a lot more with a Google or a Meta or a TikTok as compared to what they're doing in 2019 because there was a lot of fragmentation in the market and there were a lot of players. So from a budget perspective, you're not left with a lot of options anymore. You have to go back to the big players, and big players have sort of created the monopoly, which we thought was breaking with the privacy introduction, but that didn't happen. In 26, if you look at it, and that's just the starts, that's where it's heading. So yeah, that's my answer.
Anyone want to add anything to this? So we are moving ahead, and the final question, which we will discuss today. So as AI becomes a standard capability across the industry, what are the key actions growth teams should take if they want to truly outperform others? Stephanie, please answer this question.
Sure. Thanks so much. I think it's a great question. Again, I've got it broken down into 3 parts. So for me, the teams that will win aren't the ones with the most AI tools. At the moment, personally, like sitting in the marketing seat, I feel like there's just so much tech bloat. There are so many different tools, all of them asking for credits. And everyone is going to have access to the same tools in the next 12 to 18 months anyways. So what will differentiate are 3 things. So the first thing is data infrastructure. I think I've banged on about this a lot in the call today. If your data is clean, unified, and you trust it, AI is just going to amplify whatever advantage you have. If it's fragmented, AI is going to amplify that fragmentation problem. So this is not glamorous work, but it's where the gap between good and great teams is actually created. Everything we're building at Singular is oriented around this. So making measurements so solid that whatever AI sits on top of your measurement is going to be working from a position of truth. The second thing is about human judgment about what to optimize for. So AI is extremely good at optimizing toward a target. So it's important that you need to choose the right target, the metric that is actually going to reflect your business health rather than just what's easy to measure. And I strongly believe this is still a human job, and most teams are probably underinvesting in this today. The third thing is speed of learning. So this cycle time from we ran a test to we understood what happened and changed our strategy is where performance compounds. Teams with shorter feedback loops, because their measurement is real time, their attribution is trustworthy, and their data is accessible. Also, like understanding what creatives are performing and all this stuff that we've been talking about today, they will be able to iterate faster than teams who are drowning in spreadsheets, drowning in data. So this compounding effect is enormous over the course of a year. And I might also add here that speed of learning is also, I think, it happens slower when we're in larger organizations, where we're in organizations that have a lot of red tape and might not be allowing us to use the tools, or might be requesting permission on every single thing that we go out. I think there's a question even that I think we need to get to that's in the chat on, how do you maintain brand consistency and stuff as we're leaning on AI? And I think that that's a really important question. And I'd love to actually hear Piyush's thoughts on that, as he is like sitting in a brand. But this is part of that answer here, right? On the speed of learning. We're not going to be able to learn fast enough and get better if we don't have sort of clearance as well. I think we need a bit of a runway to allow us to do that, and sort of people taking away the red tape so that we can be fast. I've worked in a corporate for 4 years before working at Singular, and it is incredibly slow. They give you a lot of red tape. There's a lot of like handcuffs on everything you're trying to do. So I think we're lucky in the industry we're in, where we can move really fast. And I also believe we're maybe thinking ourselves a little bit in a bubble sometimes. And what I mean by that is, we don't realize how fast we are. because all of us, we look to the left and we look to the right, and all of us are moving fast. But outside of this space, things are a lot slower. So I think we can give ourselves credit that we're very fast moving, all of us. So I imagine that everyone is trying to test and iterate as fast as they can. But these are the three things that I would go to. So this idea of having like really solid data and infrastructure, to have human judgment on like, what are you actually working towards, what event, what thing, what downstream metric, and then trying to actually speed up your learning. So whether that's like doing more testing, variable testing, understanding what works, and then running with that as long as it's going to that metric that you've chosen.
Thank you, Stephanie. Piyush, how would you answer that?
I'm good. I'm just going to pick up on one point that Stephanie said, which is the brand building. And again, Stephanie, I'm not trying to just debate for the sake of it, because I'm still unsure of where I land up on this, to be honest. But again, it goes back to my point in the next 3 to 4 years. Given the attention span, like look at how the trend has been. We have gone to a level of micro drama consumption, which is like 60 seconds episodes as compared to like 30 minutes episode that we are used to watching standardly. So I'm not really sure how much consistency actually users are looking when it comes to brand building. That is not where you don't require trust. So for example, in finance, fintech, kind of a situation, you definitely need that. You need to build that brand because there's a trust angle to it. You're giving your money to it. But it's not where I'm coming from, is the gaming space, right? And the gaming space, I'm not really sure how much brand building would be valued in the future. Right now, it is definitely necessary. I'm saying like 2, 3 years down the line. Given the attention span is going to be so much less, and the number of games are going to be so much more, because the number of games keep on increasing year on year. So I'm not really sure how exactly the clutter would break, and exactly how the consumption pattern would evolve. Obviously, we also have the introduction of Roblox and Fortnite and stuff like that, and gaming is sort of going all over the place right now. But just to challenge that notion, I'm not really sure for users where you do not require trust, brand building exercise would be extremely valuable in the future. I'm not really sure.
Thanks, Piyush. Kate, please express your thoughts.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I really love the dynamics that we currently have on this webinar. It's really exciting that I think that we are covering a very similar pain point and a similar idea on how to interact with AI, but with a really bit different perspective. So I would say that I totally agree with what Stephanie said in terms of the attitude towards the AI. So of course, it's the attitude towards the tool, but the with a little bit of a difference in my response is that you should of course manage it as a tool, but the focus is not the managing the task itself, but the focus is on outcome. So basically, you work with the strategy, and you work as an employer, and then the AI would be working as the assistant. So basically, it gives you the ability to work with the strategy, to work with the outcomes, to work with the strategy on the, rather it's going to be creatives or something. And another thing that I do also agree is for the fragmentation. Do believe that the fragmentation creates a lot of complexity. So you definitely need to work with the unified data and centralized intelligence system for that. And maybe also, Anna, if you don't mind, I saw the question from the Q&A, so I'm going to read it because my second thought is answering it. With AI-generated creatives increasing, how do you balance automation with maintaining brand consistency and quality? So it's a very good question, because I do believe, especially on the creative field, is something that many, many marketers are struggling right now. And the main idea of Appier is that if AI works autonomously, then the AI itself scaling the winner patterns rather than the scaling the task. So basically, if AI just working as the single repetitive task solver, for example, produce the creatives not connected to the performance and targeting, then in this case, you're just solving the task, you're focusing on the task, but you don't have the performance that you would like to have. So you don't have the maintaining the brand consistency or whatever it is. And if you are working with the AI that is using the unified data, that is using the one intelligent ecosystem to manage different challenges, to manage different tasks, then in this case, you are just scaling the winner patterns, basically knowing, okay, so these creatives ABC, they are connected to the high performance, they're connected to my targeting goals and my strategy. So the AI is scaling it exactly and producing more creatives within this area rather than just producing creatives, and that's not incremental in any way.
Thanks a lot. And we will come back to this question of our attendee in the end if someone wants to add anything. So Chatai, answering the question about the key actions of growth teams who want to outperform others. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. Thank you very much for everybody's insights and opinions. And I agree with Kate and Stephanie again. The growth fails to scale when user acquisition, retargeting, and product teams operate independently. So you need to integrate them into a single continuous feedback loop where every campaign makes the next one smarter. Other thing, like you need to optimize for learning speed, not for just spend. Ad platform algorithms have largely converged. Meaningful media execution isn't your primary edge anymore. The teams that outperforms are the one who learn faster. So they treat creatives as a foundational infrastructure, and they are testing and iterating at high velocity before the fatigue even sets in. And lastly, you can target early behavior proxies. Like the biggest structural mismatch in mobile growth is like the LTV is realized late. But the acquisition decision must be made early. Winning teams don't wait weeks for LTV data, so they use AI to identify the early signals like first session engagement or feature adoption as practical proxies for the predict long-term retention. So I think the competitive edge is not having the AI only, it's the building the organizational structure and discipline to act on it faster. And, that's all for now, I think.
That's a very valuable point about the learning process and organization structures. So thank you, everyone. We've covered targeting, measurement, creatives, and decision making. So now let's open the discussion to the audience, and we have several questions. Coming back to the question of with AI-generated creatives increasing, how do you balance automation with maintaining brand consistency and quality? Would you add anything? What we already discussed. Stephanie?
I might add something. So I think I was misunderstood. I wasn't trying to say before when I was trying to answer this that we're trying to build brand awareness or something. I was going on the fact that we need to have guardrails for brand, especially when you're in a big company with all the red tape, because they're going to be real mad when you go off brand. And I know that for a fact. But, as Piyush was saying, if you're in a small company, you're in a small studio and there's 5 of you, you probably don't care. And you're probably just doing whatever it takes to get the click, get the install, and keep a user. I would say you probably want to make your creative look as much like the game as possible and not like bait and switch, because then you're going to have like a steep drop off after like day one, right? So trying to balance between like what it actually is, making it exciting, trying to get the click. But I think there's been many points made that more and more the machine is deciding what that creative should look like. And I think there's another question that we've had in the chat on how do you make things like less homogenous? And it's true. I think our messaging, you can tell when people's using AI because the words seem to start to sound the same everywhere. And the same might be true for creatives. I don't know that firsthand because I think, again, there's people behind creating them and they're sort of making that decision. And games are very different and apps are very different. Like, finance apps are all very different. No matter the vertical, there is still a difference in the base thing that you're advertising. So I imagine that those creatives are going to be different as well. And when we go on social media platforms like TikTok or an Instagram, we know that things are so fast moving. What is trending is changing almost many times a day. It feels like what music, what song, what hook. So you need to be moving at that same sort of pace if you want to keep up with it. which makes it less homogenous, or maybe it's homogenous for the 6 hours that something's trending, and then it moves on to the next thing. So to maintain brand, I think it's important that you feed whatever AI with guardrails, and you can do that. You can add base instructions to everything, so you could do that. I'm doing that. I'm working with Claude, and that's how it works for me. Is I'm feeding in all the colors and fonts and everything that I want, and it works really, really well. I'm not creating 10,000 creatives though, so maybe it breaks as it gets to scale. So I would have to lean on someone else to answer that. But that's I think what you should be doing.
And just to add there, again, I want to qualify my statement by giving examples as well. So, like, I'm handling 6 studios right now, and 2 of the studios are, one of them is Kidopia, which is operating in the kid space for 2 to 5 years old, and one of the game is Cat and Cord, which we bought from Septolab. So, like, it's more of a hyper casual game, right? So now look at the adoption of AI in these two, the reason to pick these two. Kidopia, again, it's a kids game. We want to create that trust with the parents. We don't want to, like, there is no adoption of AI at all in that space. We deliberately don't do it because, again, it's a trustworthy space where we want parents to feel okay that it's not AI generated. There's nothing wrong with the app, nothing in there. The design is very good, and the content is mainly for kids to learn and nothing else, right? So to build that trust, we do not invest. There's another game, Animal Jam, again, 8 to 9 years old, 10 years old. We do not invest in AI at all over there. We also have a community literally pushing back and saying that, okay, do not invest in AI, right? So the community is doing the job for us, and we completely are in agreement. But again, in a hyper casual space, which is the third story, which is Cat and Caught, which is what we call Nazara Publishing. In that space, 90% of our creatives are AI, literally AI generated, because there is no way, there is no clutter breaking way of actually creating, because hyper casual game consumption is like, again, microdrama or TikTok or whatever. They keep on switching between apps. They don't care. There's no sticking point in there, right? So that is what I'm trying to qualify. Where you require trust, where you require that brand building, please go and do it because it does add value to your, to actually creating the perception. It does add value to performance marketing. It does add value to everything. But where you can't, in space like hyper casual, I think adopting AI at a very fast pace is the way to go because the user attention is so small that it'll keep on jumping off from one game to another. So yeah, just to say that.
Thanks, everybody, for your answers. We also have a question from Abby. Are you seeing AI targeting perform differently across regions, for example, between Western markets and APAC, in terms of data availability, user behavior, and campaign performance?
I can provide answer for this question. I think yes, absolutely. We are seeing a distinct difference in how AI performs and is adapt in different regions. So I checked my data on the background with AI for this question. And here's the breakdown from our reports from last year. For Western markets, these regions have the most mature commercialization systems. Like in North America, users are highly short video oriented and demand instant gratification, meaning your AI creators needs a critical 3-second hook and constant updates to combat fatigue. Europe offers high internet penetration and diverse demand, but users are increasingly price sensitive, preferring a free downloads and in-app purchases. In these markets, AI is heavily relied upon for a rapid creative iteration and optimizing for high value conversions. For APAC is highly fragmented, making strict localization an absolute requirement. Interestingly, in like high-paying markets like Japan and South Korea, AI creatives actually lag behind the Western market, as audience still strongly prefer the story-based live-action videos featuring local pop culture and anime. However, in Southeast Asia and India, AI demands is booming due to massive young populations. In those emerging markets, AI biggest advantage right now is helping advertisers to achieve multilingual coverage at scale and acquiring users at a lower cost. Finally, in the West, AI is primary tool for speed and combating creative fatigue, while in APAC, it's serving as a massive operational leverage. lever to bridge complex localization and language apps.
Can I also quickly add to that? I would say that I totally agree that it's different and that it also makes sense, especially in terms of the creatives. But what I also would add is that in Appier experience, I see that the difference is not only in the market, but it's also the difference in terms of which brand and which product you're working with. So even working with the same product like Laneige or any other, you promote it in an APAC, it's going to be promoted differently in Western, obviously. But also even within the same beauty industry, the different brands going to perform differently and the creators going to perform differently. You know the patterns, and the AI would help you to define the winning patterns, but still, as you are at the wheel and you are controlling the outcomes and the strategy and the performance, then you tailor it and fine-tune it towards what you see the performing the best or what the strategy is of the brand. So as Stephanie mentioned about working with Claude, I also do it, and I see that the more you communicate with the AI, the more you guide it, and the more you decide where it should go, then the more accurate the results you're going to receive. So basically, it's more of the communication and fine-tuning through all the process, rather than there's one pattern that definitely works and this pattern is not working anywhere else. No, it's more of of course, it depends on how much of the ability you have in terms of creating this system and in terms of managing it, but still it's more of a communication and a process and managing the outcomes, rather than just giving the tool, make the best creatives for APAC, and then AI give you like, here's, you have anime on the creative, so it's going to perform. No, it's not. In fact, it's a little bit more complicated in terms of the communication with the AI, rather than they just given the task.
Right. So thank you all for your questions and insights today. We appreciate your engagement and hope this conversation inspires new ideas for your growth efforts. If you want to add anything, feel free to speak.
No, thanks a lot. Thanks for the panel. Great discussion. And thanks for the invitation. Hope you guys have a lovely day.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was really interesting to chat about it.